So when I was a lot younger, people would say that when I hit my 30s, everything's gonna go downhill. They said I was gonna start losing my hair. They said I was gonna become fat. They said I was gonna be stuck in a job that I'm gonna hate and with people that I'm gonna hate. My 20s were rough. I was still trying to figure out who I was, my place in the world, and what I was gonna do with the rest of my life. All these big life decisions were coming down on me, and I just didn't know what was the right answer. I was asked my parents, I asked friends, I asked my teachers, and there was just something about that barrier of graduating college and going out into the world and sort of being expected to be an adult. I think that was probably the most difficult part for me, that people are gonna look to you to have the answers. And I look on those days very fondly, and I would tell myself that I would be kinder to my 20-year-old self, because there was just a whole lot of stuff that I just didn't know, and there was probably no way I could have known. But with experience, with time, I sort of figured out it's okay to not know. It's okay to not know. And like a lot of young men and women, we fall into this like trap, these common mistakes, I guess, that I'm now looking back in my 30s that, I probably should have just done a little bit less of, like chasing women for one, just spending money like I had a lot of it, which I absolutely didn't. I was frivolously spending on alcohol, on parties and getting to the clubs and just doing all sorts of crazy things, getting myself into trouble, starting fights. And a lot of it came down to just these things that I thought would help me fit in with the right people. And when you're in your 20s, you just don't know a lot of things. You just don't know. And you fall into the cycle of whether that's like I call it addictions, whether you're addicted to going out and partying all the time, addiction to alcohol, porn, chasing women, shopping, all these things. And you're trying to figure out your place and your identity in the world, and you're making a whole lot of mistakes. And I don't know if there's a right answer for that and whether or not you can avoid it, because that's like trying to tell someone, oh, don't drink, it's gonna be bad for you, but you just won't listen because it's your parents telling you, and you're like, well, screw them. Now, after a while, you're like, you drank so much and you feel just horrible, and you're just like, my body just won't accept this. And then finally you're like, oh, maybe I should have listened to my parents. But hindsight is 20/20, and I feel like in your 20s, you make a ton of mistakes, and I don't know if it's preventable. Maybe it is, but some of us, we gotta learn the hard way, I guess. And I think that's sort of what I discovered in my 20s, that I did prevent some of those bad things, but at the same time, I had to experience it for myself. Hey guys, if you're enjoying this video and you're getting some value out of it, please, 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 if you can just click the like button and actually subscribe, that would be really, really helpful, because it helps the YouTube algorithm actually show my content to more people. As always, thank you for watching. I guess if you're looking towards your 30s and you're thinking that it's all going to go to hell and that your best days are already gone, I'm here to say that it doesn't have to be that way. I'm 31 now, and I feel like I'm just discovering myself. I'm learning so much about myself, and it's getting better. Life is getting better, and each year I see the progress. And maybe it's because I guess there's just been an urgency. There's just been like this urgency of time that forces you to be better, that you feel like you, at this point, you kind of have to get your shit together. And it sort of does feel that way in a lot of days. And in my 30s now, I guess what I want to say is that it does get better if you continue putting in the work. And it's like this snowball, like it's this compounding growth of all the work that you put in your 20s are going to compound and add up in your 30s, whether that's just like saving money, whether that's in your career. When you're in your 20s, you're just starting out in your career, and you take any job with they need a warm body, and you're just going to be like, yep, I'm just going to fill up that spot because I need to make money and I need to make a living. I need to be out in the adult world. But in your 30s, hopefully you got a couple years of experience under your belts, maybe even more. You got some degrees under your belts, and you got some experience, real life experience that you can share with the world. And yeah, people start actually taking you more seriously, not only because you look older, but just from the experience. And people just, I guess, automatically assume that with age you're a little bit more competent. Maybe you're even married, maybe you have a partner, and maybe even have kids. Some of you probably have kids in your 30s, right? It's a different feeling in your 30s. Not only in your career, but I would say even in your relationships, making friends. I feel like it's hard some days, it's easy another day, but you sort of realize who you are as a person, what you like, what you don't like, what you're gonna tolerate, your own values. Nowadays, I do a lot of things based off of my mood. If I feel like I don't want to do something because I'm not feeling well that day, then I just say no. The power of saying no, as simple as that, right? I don't know, in my 20s I would have just said yes. I would have felt like crap, but I would have said yes anyways and just done it. Or something that I didn't really like doing, I would be wasting my time doing it. And I guess I just didn't have the courage to say no. But nowadays, I say no all the time. I'll say no to this, no to that, just because I don't want to do it. I'm not feeling like it at the time, and that's okay. And relationships, dating, and all that stuff, I would say it gets better as in your 30s. You know what you want. If you keep putting yourself out there and getting better and being a better person and being able to communicate, being more financially well off, and just putting in the work. Overall, in general, you just have more life experiences. You're a more interesting person. You know how to talk to other people. Maybe you've worked on yourself. Maybe you've gone to therapy. Hopefully, you've been, putting in the work in your 20s. And I feel like in my late 20s, I definitely did that. And looking back, that probably saved my butt, because now in my 30s, I can say I can start reaping the rewards. Just putting my head down and just focusing on my career, my finances, my inner work, and just having fun at the same time, not trying to chase women, just traveling, exploring the world, getting more stories under my belt in a sense, and just adding to it, just living life. Perhaps the most difficult part entering your 30s and even your 20s is comparing yourself to others. Nowadays, with all the social media and all the stuff that you see all these like online billionaires and all these people flashing the Ferrari, and it's just like a highlight reel, like all these things that people are doing, trying to show off, and it's hard not to compare. It's hard not to be envious, especially if you know them. And when you're reaching your 30s, you're sort of at that age where there's just enough time to see your peers and what they've managed to accomplish, so to speak, right? Those 10 years after graduation, you're just like, when you just graduate college, everyone's around 21, 22, 23, and there's not much to compare with. Everyone's got like student loans, and people are trying to figure out what they're gonna do with their lives, and they're just bumbling around like fools. But in your 30s, that's already 10 years, and I get it. It's hard not to compare yourself. It's hard to not figure out like, hey, is there something wrong with me? Is there something, whoa. Sorry, just the door over there is just moving. It's just like there's a ghost in the place. But yeah, like in your 30s, I guess you just have this nagging voice in your head that says like, oh, you have no more excuses now. Where it's like, oh crap, my buddy, he was dumber than me. He was dumber than me in college, and now look at him, like he's doing this or she's doing that, and like where the hell am I? I'm still working at Burger King. Nothing wrong with Burger King. I love those hamburgers, and I don't know if there's a fix for that, because like comparison is the thief of joy, as they say, but it's tough, and I don't know if there's a solution. I guess being content with who you are and where you're at, and just trying to appreciate the smaller things in life helps you, because there's always going to be someone that's sort of ahead of you, that has more money than you, that's better looking than you, that's just more well off than you, in every way. And that's just a part of life. And life's not fair. Some people had it better than others, and we don't know anyone's real circumstances. No one says that. Maybe that person is dealing with something horrible You know, and sometimes we're like, oh, I would do anything to trade my place with their place, but you don't know what they're dealing with. Maybe they're dealing with a parent that has cancer. Maybe they are horrible at building relationships. Maybe they have no friends. Maybe they spend all their time working, right? So it's easy to just take one slice of what you perceive to be their life and be like, oh, I want their life. But at the end of the day, you know, water where you're at, you know? And I guess that's my message, you know? That's my message to you guys today. That life in your 30s does get better, and your 20s more than likely are gonna suck. At least mine did. It was just a lot of hard work. It feels like you're not going anywhere. You're making no progress, and you just hope you're just shooting the right direction. But the 30s do get better as long as you keep putting in the work and, you know, keep focusing on your lane and not try to compare yourself with others. If you enjoyed that video, please make sure to like and subscribe. That helps with the YouTube algorithm. Also, make sure to check out this next video right here on life in your 30s and how to live a good life.